Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Wednesday morning here, pre-market at SpartanTrading.com. As you all know, this is what we do Monday through Friday, as long as the market is open. We talk, we share, we give our opinions, ideas, macro events, see what's going on, interest rates, you name it, we've got it going. So today, obviously, is 13F day for me because this is so much fun, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. All right, let's get to it, as they say. Okay, overnight, what happened? Balance of trade, it's out of Indonesia. Asia Pacific Rim is so important for me in looking at things. And, look, we know that yesterday's CPI is a little bit wonky in the sense that it was within the statistical mean, but they changed it from 2 years to 1 year. So it's like, stealing base, with your, anyways. So we'll see what the fallout looks like on that. All right. As you can see here, this is why nobody should be thinking about API based off of any consensus, because it's a random walk theory and you literally do not know what the hell it's going to be. And this has been for decades. It's not just recent. Anybody who basically looks at the API, any of the EIA, any of these, okay, you'll go mad. You really go mad. You just look at it and say, okay, whatever. Right? It's like, okay, whatever. So anyways, ECOFIN, right, out of the EU, they had a financial meeting, right? UK inflation rate softer than expected, month over month. Softer than expected, core inflation better than expected. So you can see here. Now, I continue to reiterate, okay, globally, some of these inflationary numbers are rebounding, right? And you have to be aware of that, okay? So here's PPI core output, month over month, 0.6 versus negative 0.2. Here's 11.1 versus 10.6. And this is core output 0.6, positive versus a negative. Right? Retail price index, flat as opposed to negative. So all of these say the thing. This just shows, for those of you who have not been through a commodity super cycle, the stickiness of it. It's a commodity super cycle by definition has to last 8 to 10 years, by definition. And it's systemic, so everything has the day in the sun, multiple days in the sun. You have rotation up, rotation down, you have months up, you have months down. This is what it looks like with the ultimate grind higher. Okay, and on rare occasions, you get something like what's going on with natty gas, which is really quite something, right? Out of India, balance of trade better, exports a little bit better than expected, imports, well, better than expected, right? Balance of trade out of the European area, better than expected, industrial production, worse than expected, Bund auction, 2.26, and we have our 30-year mortgage rate, 6.39, going up from 6.18, applications down, all right? And obviously this morning we have retail sales. Well, we'll see what that looks like. I think I really believe that the data going forward for the next few months are going to be erratic. I don't think it's going to be as easy to predict as it has been, right? And then obviously we have the EIA, the business inventories, yada, yada, yada. And then long-term tick flows of foreign bond investment and net capital flows. Got a busy morning. Okay. Airbnb, Upstart, Generac, Roblox, the trade desk. Going to be a wild and woolly day today. The 13Fs that dropped, as they are required to drop 45 days after the calendar, right? They have dropped, and there are some wicked ass surprises. Buffett was unbuffett-like. So we'll get into that as well. And you can see here, PGY. This is actually pretty interesting because I saw a lot of flows going into this on the option side. So I thought that was kind of interesting, right? So let's see what Roblox was. It hasn't come out yet. Rider Systems green. Going to be a fun one. All right, global oil demand estimates, capital economics, OPEC is here, capital economics, EIA is here. Okay, so EIA is a tough one. I mean, it really is a tough one. Anyways, as you can see here, the demand is going to be, I don't want to say softish, but it starts to ramp up the fourth quarter, obviously within the cycle. Right? Global monetary conditions are not restrictive. Okay, so this is, we have so many big picture ideas that on the macro side that have to be addressed. Recession, no recession. Tightening, no tightening. Restrictive, not restrictive. Okay. Now, what I do like about this chart, okay, is that this does go back to 1980. Now, I would have preferred it going back to 1960s, but this is what we got to work with. Okay. So as you can see here, well below past choke points, this is the G7, right? So you can see here, MRB, US recession, checklist indicator. This is where the recession, the statistical probability of a recession is waning as more and more people get the idea, well, maybe we are going into a recession. And maybe these guys can hike more. Right? It's like just talking out loud, right? And here's the stock bond ratio. I don't know. Top 5 individual contributors to US core CPI month over month, right? So you can see here, rent of shelter. It's the top dog, right? It used to be used cars and trucks. Now this is the way it has been. I don't know if it should be. Remaining contribution, I don't know. But, this is what it looks like, the slice of pie, right? Buybacks have added 1 percentage point per year of earnings per share over the past decade. Don't forget, we're probably going to have another record buyback season this year. And it's free to go. See what goes on. Fed funds rates, upper bound percentages. As you can see, that bell curve. Everybody's got a bell curve on these interest rates. But what happens if they actually just go sideways like this? But this is obviously into 2025. It's sideways right here, right? Bloomberg Economic Forecast has it sideways until the beginning of 2024, which is interesting, right? Now, if you look here, market implied the futures, kind of cool, right? I'm just talking. All right, what do we got? Recession fears are down sharply. So they ask all these guys, institutions, asset managers, right? They're starting to give up the ghost in terms of a recession. Look, I mean, the key component of a recession continues to be, right, as you well know, as twins love to shout out, jobs, 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 okay? And we know this because, well, that's since God was a little baby. If you don't have the jobs component, every other recession, historical recession, going back in time, you've had an unemployment rate that went dramatically up. I mean, we're talking almost double-digit percentages. That's not going to happen. And I continue to maintain, this is my opinion, as long as this balance sheet globally is the way it is, that's quantitative easing. That started in 2008, and they never addressed it. They kicked the can down the road, okay? So they've been sloshing around with this money on their balance sheet for decades, right? And now they've got other issues to deal because they also, in addition to that, did the quantitative easing, right? And now they've got inflation problems. I wouldn't want to be a central banker, I guess. That's what I have to say. Never been higher. Fed fund rate for December FOMC meeting inch closer to 5%. Okay. Everybody's happy? Right? US break even 2-year, 5-year, 10-year. Really fascinating. Okay. All right, Liz loves to point this out. Guess what? Tesla and Meta are still in the doghouse here, down here. We had a wonderful bounce, but don't forget, Apple never really sold off the way everybody else did. So they're still the top dogs. And then you got Microsoft. Then you've got NVIDIA screaming higher, Alphabet down here, Amazon down here. And Amazon is soon to be lapped by Tesla and Meta, right? Fascinating. BRICS group of nations plans to decide this year whether they're going to admit more members. Everybody wants to join them. BRICS accounts for 42% of the world's population. Its members have less than 15% of the voting rights of the World Bank and the IMF. Yeah, I mean, there is something wrong with that, right? I mean, if you look at population versus decision-making power, right? I'm just saying. Which Valentine's gifts have been hit hardest by inflation? The airlines, candy, hotels and motels, jewelry, watches, flowers. Okay, so I get a move on. I hope everybody had a nice Valentine's Day with their sweetie. Okay, let's take a peek here. All right, so Guru Focus is really fantastic. So they have here, this is Steve Mendel, Lone Pine Capital, and it shows what he's done. Sold out of Meta Autodesk, so you can see a lot of action. New buys, ASML, FND, new buy of Moderna, right? Okay, and then, you know, you go back here, and then we can look at Warren Buffett. So that's the story right here. Let's talk. Okay. I can honestly say, okay, I really haven't seen him, you know, reduce Taiwan Semi. This is very atypical of him. And the reason why I say this, he's a buy and hold kind of guy. He's not a scalper. You know what I mean? I just find it fascinating. I mean, the fact that, you know, this is it right here. USB by 91%, Taiwan Semi by 86%. That's shocking. I don't give a damn what anybody says. That's shocking. ATVI, reduction, 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 reduction. Okay. Additions, Ally. Right? I don't know. It's fascinating. Apple added. Chevron. I don't know. It's really interesting. So if you want to do a deep dive, just go to Guru Focus, the 13 Fs, and you can see everything right here. All right. So, anyways, okay. But that was interesting. Okay, what do we got going on here? Commerce Department, retail sales, 830, we know. Federal Reserve releases January industrial production, we know. Capital utilization, we know. Earnings, yes, we know. Okay, cooling inflation in the U.S. leveled off in January. Be careful. I think this is going to start to go up. I really do. See? Air India ordered 470 jets from Boeing and Airbus in a record deal, but this is not new news, really. I mean, this has been talked about for a while. U.S. is considering sending seized weapons to Ukraine. That's actually not a bad idea. I kind of like that. Look, as you jabberwock and you sit on your hands, guess what? They're going to lose real fast. the aggressiveness of Russia right now. So shit will get off the pot, guys. Come on. If you're going to support them, you got to be all in. All right, here we go. Turn to lead the political opposition. Okay, you must be feeling better. Ford paused production shipments, potential battery issue. Startups are offering diabetes drugs for weight loss with little oversight. Some sales slow, realtors are bowing out. Ugh, whatever, I can't deal with that right now. Yeah, not a good look. Beats by 6 cents, bookings that are beats by, so Roblox. Beat top and bottom, ticks lower on report EU sets to probe the Amazon plan take. Oh, okay, whatever. Intel may never see peak PC revenue again. I kind of agree with that. I mean, I'm just saying. Narrow earnings beat, plans 1 billion stock buyback. Commodities, that's what they do. Right? Trade desk, beats, top. This is bottom. All right, so Tesla, Rivian, and Mobileye. My Mobileye. So exciting. Right? See how that plays out. So I think got a new restaurant concept called from, actually I bought a little bit of this stock on the dip, why not, right? So we'll see what happens here. Barron's shook up its holdings, pay attention to what it did, what it didn't do. Okay. So this is why I love Buffett so much. He's got his action plan. Okay. Hello, high water, decade after decade, he's not changing that. He knows he's not going to get the low, but he's going to accumulate. And he knows he's going to not get the high, and he sells, right? But he'll continue to sell, right? That's just, I mean, I love it. He's in his 90s, friends. Come on. I swoon at the Oracle of Omaha. You've got to listen, just watch his videos. If you do anything, the guy is, and Charlie Munger, don't get me started about him. He's my peep. I love his caustic attitude. He's my peep. He doesn't hold anything back. Net zero carbon, oh, that's pretty cool, actually, right? 100 miles on bumpy path to profit. Okay, fund management act pauses China retail project. Sources. SDF to shoot down encroaching balloons. Good. How's it feel? China? Trust me. You do not think that if our little balloons were over China, they wouldn't be shooting them down? I don't know. Battlefield claims, like I say, if you wait too long to give them the stuff they need, U.S. charging network to rivals in $7.5 billion federal program. Who says that Tesla's not getting along with this administration? I love my Fuchu. This is why, you know what? You have to have a conviction in a long-term trade, right? I do, PDD, Fuchu, those are the only individual ones, and then I'm in some other stuff, right? ETFs. Flow. What's going on, Flow? Let's see. So this came in right at the close, Tesla, June 210. Do not forget, OpEx is very confusing as to what goes on with call put sweeps. It is not simple to read the tea leaves. Just because you see a post doesn't mean it means anything, okay? Other than maybe a hedge or whatever. Don't forget, trillions goes through on OpEx, right? QQQ, December, 305s, almost at the money. 31.8 million, probably paper replacement. 20.8 million on the QQQs for July. You just do not know, but it's 10,000 and 10,000. This is what institutions are doing, right? They're massaging, they're adjusting. It's OpEx. And a lot of them have been front running it. Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, and then the bulk. And then you see that it starts to wane Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, get another spike. Okay, what do we got? What's Kathy doing? She's still buying coin, Path, VLD, MKFG, still selling ONVO, excess, you don't like PLB coin, more selling PLB. This Joby's interesting because Joby's been a discussion of a takeover for a long time. And, you know, what they do is kind of fascinating. I do have a piece of Joby on just for the what ifs of life, right? You know that, the what ifs of life. So we'll see, right? Okay. Insiders, let's see. They continue to sell XM, right? Millions and millions still going through, right? And then you can see here, these are tied to options, Biomarin, Aon, and PRVB is tied to options, but we also know that you know who is selling to. Let's see here, what do we got? HTLD, Heartland Express. So there was this, I saw that AMC, right? AMC APE, 7.9 million, 30.98 million is out of it. And Terra Capital is out of this trade right now, or whatever they've been doing with it. Right? It's 100%. They own zero now. Just saying. Analysts, initiations. Wow, 71% Dick's Sporting. That's the only one, but golly gee, thanks. We got Digital Bridge, SNX IoT, GNLX. I mean, but I can't get excited. Berkeley, sorry, Dan, you're 46%. That's a meh in my book. See, this is the thing about it. Why would you follow someone who's only got a 29%, right, FLEQ, Daniel, when you can follow someone who's got a 79% VVIC, right? Credo, CRDO, TEX, HWM, TEL, ST, CMA, Comerica, Sumo. All of these are studs, 70+%. Now, that doesn't mean what their returns are, but, you know, I'm just saying. ANGI, IAC, this is South Beaches, USB, ECL, FOCS. Upgrades from UBS. All right, let's see what's going on here. Largest increase, GNS, it's only 16% though. You know what I mean? 26%. So I don't know what to tell you. Let's do it. The jump in options activity isn't what it seems. Retail traders aren't as optimistic as it looks. Been a recent jump in call buying on small option traders, right? You can see that right there. But you can see where we are on the put side. Okay. Just saying. Look, this is the problem with a lot of this, is that these volumes are buying and selling. And if you look at the volume, it's misleading. It's the open interest the next day that gives you the wow factor. Literally gives you the wow factor. I'm just saying. Okay. Small trader put call premium. There you go. Right there. Not a speculative peak in small trader options. So you can see the put call ratio where we're at, put call premium where we're at. Okay. The average at market peaks is down here. This is where we're at. Okay. This is what's so fascinating, is because people I see tend to be very linear in their thought process. Being an ideas person, I look at it like three-dimensional chess I'm playing all the time, trying to figure out, right, the moves. Okay, So we are now heading into strong seasonality, okay, for commodities. Number of times greater than 5%, 6. Number of times up 20 to 9, so 20 out of 30. Number of percentage 69 to 31. This is kind of low for me, but that's what it's saying. Okay. What do we? Okay. All right, let's go to the breadth here. Rosy a little bit. IWM is green still. XLU is green. So a lot of the sell-off we saw has impacted the 10-day, right? The breadth, right? And across the board, DAX is still lofty, but you can see on the short end, it did what it needed to do to redo some resets here, right? So here you go. This is a reset. Intermediate term optimism is at 80. I mean, 80. SMH, OJ, all coming back down, right? And then you've got the 10-year at 6, bonds, right? Liquid LQD. So a lot of this is a function of the bond market, right? XLU, right? And then we had the pullback in, China, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, this is a beautiful heat map for a bounce. If you're going to do it. Let's take a look at the COT. It dropped, right? So what we're looking for, this is as of what? All right, this is not up to date then. All right, let's look at it. All right, here we go. You gotta have more than one, right? So this is showing you traders index speculators, right? Where we are right now. This is still behind. So it's like 24th. This is behind the data. So I'm not going to look at it right now. Okay. So bonds. Inversion continues. Canada rates are up, Brazil down, China, Germany rates down, 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 Spain, Italy up, Japan flat, which is unusual. It's always down. Hong Kong down, Australia up. Let's see what's going on. Effective Fed funds rates. Okay. So as you can see here, we have breached the line, right, for potential recession. But look at the lag time here. From when this happened, okay, if we just look at it from here. To the peak here. To the start of the recession. That's 2 years. I don't know what to tell you. We'll see what happens here, whether we break. This is the 2-5, the front end is nice, fine. This is the one we want to look at. Okay, here you go. Months and months and months and months and months and months and months. From September 2022, this has finally broken. We break in this quadrant, we have a mini support right here. This is not a good look, friends, on the interest rate side. On the inversion, not a good look. All right, here's the 10-year. Okay, so it bounced right off this pivot extension. I'm not impressed. Just not impressed. Right? Just not impressed. Here's the Chinese yuan. Actually, let's do this. I want to see what the German inversion looks like right now. Here's the 510. We're going to do the 510. See what that looks like. Okay, yeah, bear flagging. Okay. Now, just to remind you, going back to the financial crisis of 2008, this is where we were. Now, if you look in terms of the late 1990s, this is where it went. This is fascinating. So we have a whole section down here on the inversion for Germany. Lots of room. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think that's fascinating. Here's the dollar, double top there. Let's see if it breaks out. Obviously, that would not be fun. And the Chinese yuan, as you can see here, this is holding this extension on the monthly. Cryptos. Okay, cool, whatever. All right, a sea of red, okay? 90% is down on the commodity side. Right? This is why you have hedges on. That's why I have hedges on. Right? Across the board. So what is this telling us? This is telling us that the commodity traders have made up their mind. And we're going to definitely see a lot more rate hikes. So they're readjusting their view on interest rates going forward. Very rarely does this happen. Okay. Natty gas bounced, pulling back now. This is going to be probably take a couple months on the sideways. I mentioned very clearly yesterday in the room, if you were playing Boyle, right, you had to have KOLD on as a ratio hedge. I was really specific about that. Okay, and I hope everybody was listening. Okay. This is how I do it. This is how you survive in commodities. You got to always have a hedge on. So for me, that would be like SCO on the oil side, right? I have some drip on. I have some dust on. I have some GDX puts on, stuff like that. Okay. Today, we're going to talk in class about spreads. AMLP looks fine. This is actually looking okay too. USO, UNG, this is really quite something. Look, I mean, let's be honest here. We haven't seen anything like that in ever. I don't think. I love it when we live history, friends, every day. Crude, you know the drill here, right? So we got this. I think we're going to, this feels like we're going to break. I'll add to my SCO if we break this extension, 76.64, because in my head, I think we will get down to low 70s again, and we know who's down there buying, like a Hoover, right? Here's gold, crude, right? So this is actually still holding up, believe it or not. This is a reversion to the mean. See how that plays out. Clearly, if this breaks, then I have to increase my hedging on gold. Okay. Gold pulling back. This is fine. Consolidation. We'll see how this goes multi-months. Okay. I have my hedges on and I've lightened up. So we'll just see how it plays out. Now, this is really interesting. This is GLD GDX. And it's new. I mean, it's literally range bound right now. So there's really no hedge one way or the other in terms of what we want to do. Silver, just watching it right now, hard rebuff against this downtrend line. And you can see here on the monthly, this uptrend line right here. Has a little bit more room to go. Right? And then I'll look maybe to buy stocks. What do we got? A little bit of red, DAX is up, CAC is up, Euro stocks are up, right? US market's down, right? China's up slightly, and Nifty 50's up. I am long India. I told everybody I was adding to that as well, INDL. Yeah, Adani was just really quite something, but you know, hey. On the extension, why not? All right, so what we're seeing right now, that being overseas, let's see if money flows out. I don't know. This is going to be fascinating. DAX still holding up fine, still above last month's high. That's what we want to see. DAX against, this is against China. You can see beautiful flag curl. Oh my goodness gracious. How pretty is that? Textbook. FTSE, do not forget, we broke this, right? But this is heavily weighted on the commodity side, so be careful. All right. Fez, beautiful consolidation in the upper quadrant. Love it. We had the flag breakout. Now we're making another flag. Retail sales jumped 3% January, more than expected as consumer demand remains resilient. Okay. All right, so that's that. This is about Vespa. We saw some interesting, keep an eye on this because I did see some interesting call buying going in on that one. And it was with the EWZ. Okay, so we have to be aware of that. VXN, let's take a peek here. Really interesting. So we've got this new little quadrant we have to deal with, right, which is actually bullish, right? Why? Because if they were really seriously concerned, you would see more volatility buying on the VIX, et cetera, VXN. This is for the NASDAQ, okay? This was a no-brainer down here. I sold my UVXY when it popped. We'll have to see what's going to happen here, Fang. Okay, let's talk. All right, so the Fang is up 45%, had a hard rebuff here. All right. It's still holding above the 38.2, so it's still positive, just consolidation in the upper quadrant. Here's growth value on the small caps. Wow. Here's growth value on the SPY. I mentioned this, and this is really shocking to me. I thought it would be higher, right? Qs, let's talk. Got hard rebuffed at the 38.2% fib. You can see here it also is a pivot point, 315.59. Now, the question is, we reverted back to the mean, right? The question is now, obviously, are we basically going to consolidate in this quadrant, right? And then continue higher? I don't know, to be honest with you. This is fascinating, right? It still is predicated, right, on bonds, right? Recession, right? So I don't know. Google bounced, got rebuffed. You know the drill on that one. Meta bounced, got hard rebuff at the reversion to the mean here. Right now it's below this quadrant pivot point. It's a monthly, so it's a work in progress. Netflix, actually Netflix is holding up a hell of a lot better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. So that's kind of surprising to me, right? I'm just saying it's kind of surprising to me. Google, Apple, shitter. Google looks horrible. I mean, there's no lipstick for this peg, but we are at a key pivot. Now, if this actually breaks, friends, this is a multi-month, multi-year sideways consolidation. This is no joke, okay? And if it does break off an extension, okay, this has some serious room to the downside. So that is what Google free falling looks like, right? Apple against the Qs. You can see right here.
All righty, Beth, ready to pop on here whenever. Thank you so much, guys. Morning. What's up? What's going on? Let's pop off the screen here and go through it as we usually do. So, if you guys new to chat and haven't done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're gonna pop into chat. It's gonna look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do pop in, go to the disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, a link to the disclaimer is also bolded risk reward section. Make sure to go through both in regards to risk reward, guys. Most important ratio in trading. So I would certainly only trade if I understood how that works. So I go through it. You got videos, calculators, video explanations, profiles, etc. Everything you need to set up risk reward for yourself in there. So definitely spend some time, go through that section before you do anything, in my opinion. Now, continue to scroll down. we have the summary of how this chat works, breaks down all these channels work on the left-hand side. So you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. That's important to know to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Continue to scroll down. Options rules that we'd like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, et cetera, are the rules that I like to use at least. So worth taking a look at if you're curious. SPX rules below that we like to use every single day. Any of the small account less than 10K. Now these are just, just my opinion, guys, and this is just what I like to use to do when I was trying to grow smaller accounts. Can certainly help you, but there's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place. You can have a better chance of growing that smaller account, in my opinion. So definitely worth checking that section out. And the last but not least, you have the how to pick ideas from an options directory perspective, which just basically breaks down how to pick the ideas that make sense for you in your account by overlaying your own criteria on top of the ideas. All right, pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today, guys? A couple different things. Tesla, Airbnb, TTD, Roblox, Futu, and CRDO. Tesla gapping up continuation from last day's move. Airbnb gapping up positive earnings and Q1 guidance being raised. TTD gapping up on earnings beat. Roblox gap EPS negative 48 by beats by 0.6. Booking up and then beats on the revs. So nice gap up on earnings there as well. Futu appointed. Futu subsidiary Mumu successor. EOS service provider, and then they also had something from, I guess, mainland China, basically saying that they're banning new accounts being opened in mainland China, which is pushing Tiger up as well. CRTO, Credo, Tex shares fall 48% as its largest customer cuts demand forecast. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys, gonna be Tesla and Airbnb. So let's have a look. So Tesla guys gapping up. Love the look of this. We talked about it yesterday, getting into this resistance level from last day. And here it is. Yeah, this is going to have some nice fun today, guys. So we're coming to this range resistance level on the daily to the upside. Fantastic. $214.28 pivot level holds 223.04, 229 on the upside, unable to hold. We got room towards 208.26 to 201.97 on the downside. Overall on Tesla going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is Tesla. Let's take a look at Airbnb here. You're gonna have to label some of these pivot points, guys, because there isn't any resistance that's in this little gap area. Lovely chart though. Those 120 calls are going to be up a shitload, which is great. If you held that idea overnight, like we talked about. All right, let's take a look at this thing today here. So pivot to the upside today, guys, on Airbnb. Pivot is going to be 129.75 levels able to hold. Room towards 133.26 to 135.20 or 38, in my opinion, on the upside. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 127.59 to the 125.83 on the downside. Overall, on Airbnb, going to be leaning bullish neutral. Going to be leaning bullish neutral at that pivot point can hold, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens in that regard, but pretty good looking chart. That is Tesla. That's Airbnb. All right, let's take a look at the next two guys, TTD and Roblox. D633 pivot to the upside today, level holds 57.57 to 58.72. Unable to hold 56.33, 55.37 to 53.30 or 51 on the downside. Overall on Roblox, can be leading bullish neutral if we can get back above that pivot point. It's nice. Sorry, TTD. It's a nice looking chart. Looks got room for continuation there. I think it's more of a grinder in the upsides. I will be leaning on the bullish neutral side after a pullback this morning and a curl back to the upside, in my opinion. That's what I'll be looking for there. Let's take a look at RBLX. This is at 41 bucks a share. Let's see where we got room to today. So let's it's a pretty good looking chart. Very nice, in my opinion. No, obviously decent little gap this morning. This is gonna have to look at this on the daily, guys. I think 41.93. Let's go 43.39. Okay, we're gonna do this. So 41.93 pivots to the upside today, in my opinion, on RBLX. This level is able to hold. We got room for continuation towards 43.39 to 44.48, in my opinion. Unable to hold 39.82, 38.48 downside. Any bullshit, we're looking for continuation push to the upside today. If that pivot point is able to hold. That's TTD, that is RBLX. T138 pivot to the upside today on Futu. Levels able to hold. You got room towards 55 or 53.54 to 55.39. Unable to hold 15 to 47.87 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Futu, I'm going to be leaning on the actually the bearish neutral side today. I'll be looking for a little bit of a pullback here off of this EMA resistance retest and range. So I'll be looking for a little bit of a pullback here. Let's take a look at CRDO. So this thing's getting hammered this morning. We're at 10.45 a share, basically cut in half. Ooh, ugly look. See ya. Pivots. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday here. And we'll take a look at the spine thing. Pivot to the downside today is going to be 1064 levels able to hold. It's 1188, 1295, unable to hold 932, 850. In my opinion, I'm going to be leaning more on the bearish neutral side today, looking for a continuation lower. If the pivot's unable to hold, probably a little bit of a grind lower, and then I think you're going to get some basing. It's capitulation mode right now, so we'll see how much more it can go, in my opinion, and then I think you will get some sort of basing. This isn't tiny move, it's massive. Be a lot of big holders in that, man. So we'll see what happens with that thing on the open. All right, SPY and FANG market, let's go. So what's going on with the SPY, guys? So a couple different things right now. We're pulling back to this level 411.13. We're actually just below it, but 415.98 will be the resistance above that. 419.12 unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 407.65 to for all 533 on the downside. Actually, we're leaning bullish neutral if this pivot point can be reclaimed. So if it can be reclaimed, if it can get a little bit of a push, I'm going to be watching Tesla and Microsoft or Nvidia. They were leading the market yesterday. They had the relative strength of holding up the SPY. So we'll see if they can today as well. Market did hold up quite well with the CPI yesterday, and it's still bullishly consolidating on the daily. It's just a matter of whether or not we can break out. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We got rejected at that downtrend test on the daily yesterday on the flag. So keep that in the back of your head. I'm actually going to draw it right now so we can see it. This is the big level I was watching, in my opinion. I think I gotta go back. Oh no, I don't. I don't know. There. It seems gradual enough. There you go. There's your flag level. You can see the multiple rejections we had on it. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral low, looking for a retest of that level this morning early on, and then we can see what's what. I don't know if we're going to be able to break through it. It's hard to say, right? It's been basically in consolidation over the last 2 weeks. So we'll see. All right, that's the spot. Let's take a look at Apple. Pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, will be 153.28. Level holds 155, 157.21. Unable to hold 151.05, 149.74. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning bullish neutral, in my opinion, if that pivot point is able to hold. All right, 194 on Amazon pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. This level is able to hold. You got room towards the 104.21. That level breaks 97.03 to 94.14 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, give you the bullish neutral if that pivot point can hold, in my opinion, today. Let's take a look at Netflix. Slow. So it needs to be to that level. All right, Netflix guys pivot to the upside today. 357.67 levels able to hold 365.82, 390, 369.41, unable 351.85, 346, 99 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Netflix, leaning bearish neutral, looking for continuation push to the lower, continuation of the downside if that pivot point's unable to. In my opinion, there. That's Netflix. Let's take a look at Meta. $181.55 pivot to the downside today on Meta. Levels unable to hold. You got room towards the 175.47 to 171.44, able to hold 186.27, 180, 93.30. Going to be getting bearish control on that actually for continuation lower. Don't love the look of that daily right now, in my opinion. Yeah, just my opinion, but I'm not liking the look. It's kind of wants to retest that lower EMA support in the flag range, so we could go off a little bit. No, I mean it has a hell of a run. So. All right, and then Google, which has been acting like garbage, obviously as of late, ever since that AI news came out with it not performing as well as they thought. Pivot to the downside today, 93.68 levels able to hold. We got room back towards the 95.27 and 96.63, unable to hold 91.73. I'm actually leaning bullish control on it though. Looking for a hold of that inverted head and shoulders and a push higher. We'll see if that happens today. Just my opinion. It's a little extended to the downside on the daily, so I always like to play those types of extensions. Now I'll do the VIX, Qs, and IWM on my own time, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to South Beach. Then we'll do a quick little recap for the open. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours for now.
Okay, hey guys. All right, let's see what's going on here today. All right, so we have the 10-year unchanged, and that's in the light of that big retail sales number that we just saw, which is okay. We've moved up a little bit in the past few days. We were down to what, like 340 something, and now we're at 375. So, you know, listen, the Fed comes out jawbones every time they can. That's basically the issue. Then, you know, it doesn't look like they're going to cut rates this year, which some people thought was going to happen. But let's look at the curve, okay? So the 2 years up again, because that's what the Fed can control, right? And the 10 years pretty much unchanged, but the spread is up 25. It's up to almost 89, which is a new high as far as the inversion is concerned. So we have the bond traders thinking rates are going to go down, you know, maybe not next year because the 2 years up, but soon, soonish before the Fed does, and they're pushing rates up, which causes that big inversion, right? Looking over in London, their rates are down a little bit. Their 10-year is down 0.1, and their inversion is about the same. Nothing, you know, like 0.3, nothing major there. Germany rates are basically flat. Italy, who cares? France, who cares? And so on. Japan 10-year, we're gonna keep an eye on that one because the new Fed governor, when he comes in, they're gonna put his feet to the fire. You can bet your last nickel on that. I've never seen a new Fed chairman come in the U.S. I don't know. I'm no expert on Japan, and not have his you know, put his feet to the fire. He or she's feet to the fire. So I would imagine it'll happen there too. Let's look at commodities. So we have oil down 78 bucks. It's been trading in a really tight range, oil. Okay, natural gas down a little bit, 252. Gold down, which means the dollar's probably up. Copper in the trading range. All these agricultural commodities have been in very tight ranges. Okay, lumber's down to 400 bucks. You know, where's wheat? Let's just see where that is. You know, very tight ranges, basically prior to invasion levels, Ukraine invasion levels. Currency wise, so we saw gold getting smacked. So what's the inference? The dollar will be up. So dollar's up against North America. It's up against the yen. It's up against the Chinese currency. It's up against the euro, and it's up against the pound. Okay. If you think gold is anything other than a currency hedge, the market would say you're not right. That's been the case for a while now. Okay. Crypto, we have Bitcoin rallying. There's been a bunch of news coming out. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to it because I really don't care about Bitcoin or crypto, but that's what you have. So we have Bitcoin up 2%. We have Ethereum up 1%. And we have Solana up 2%. I do have some Mara only because it acted so well yesterday that I took some. That's crypto. And let's look at the foreign markets. Okay, FTSE's dead flat. DAX is up 0.5%. These European markets have been acting really, really well. Nikkei is down 0.3. China down 0.3, and Hong Kong's down 1.5. And I want to keep an eye on Taiwan. Like I said, I think it's smart based on the contentious relationship between the US and China, and Taiwan kind of in the middle of things. But that's down 1.4%, more on Taiwan semi probably than anything else, but nevertheless. Nevertheless, that's the situation. Okay, so that's basically the down and dirty. All right, banks and Fed, we have no Fed governors coming in today, but we know they're all saying the same thing, right? Higher rates, no cut anytime soon, rates are too low, yada, 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 yada. Same old tune, okay? And with this retail sales number, you know, they're not going to be changing that narrative, I don't think, anytime soon. Okay, China, they've been trying to pump up their economy according to Bloomberg, but and throwing out a lot of consumer loans, but they say the loans are being misused and they can't get their consumer to spend more, you know, in the places they want them to. So a little bit of an issue there. Ray Dalio commented on China today, said they're winning the trade war. I really don't know where he's coming from, but this is what he's saying. But conflict is avoidable. All right, we'll see. Like I said, geopolitics, the most important thing out there, in my opinion, right now, you know, more than anything else. All right, interest rates are going to do what interest rates are going to do. Geopolitics, that can really cause it could cause, you know, like a pandemic type of reaction in the market like we had, or even more for that matter. Okay, so that's China. There's news out today that a few things on those balloons. One, Japan says there's a few of the spy balloons over their country, and the US is kind of backing away, saying, you know, something to the effect that these balloons might have been used for commercial purposes and not spying. Who knows? I don't know the answers. I'm just perplexed as you guys are. All right, Russia, no real change there. I think the US wants to commit another $10 billion to Ukraine. Nothing new, a little back off on as far as fighter jets from the Brits. There's no good news that comes from Russia nor Ukraine. That since this whole thing started, we haven't had, I don't think, a minute of good news. So that's the situation there. Oil, trading range, nothing new. We discussed it. Crypto, we discussed. Mr. Market. So Mr. Market yesterday, let's see what we had. We had, I think, a beta day, right? So we had semis were good. PE tech was good. Material stocks are really good. If there was a geopolitical situation, I think these material stocks would really rip. Okay. And I like the way they trade. I was in them pretty heavy yesterday. I did not take any home. Hotels were very strong. And on the negative side, you had the typical what's been negative, drugs and consumer non-durables, both in the tank. Okay. So what's working? What's working is high beta. Okay. High beta versus you know, the stuff that was pretty strong during the pandemic, consumer non-durables, you know, things with pretty certain earnings that people had over invested in, kind of as a safe haven. I see a lot of money managers getting out of those, getting into higher beta, you know, kind of spreading their asset allocation more normally across the spectrum of investment possibilities, as opposed to, you know, piling in the safe stuff. So I think that's what's been working. All right. Let's see what else we have today. Biden is talking about stock buybacks, and he wants to raise the tax from 1% to 4%. And here's his basic argument, okay, which I think is so asinine, it's hard to really repeat, but he says that companies are paying their executives in stock, and because they are using buybacks, they're effectively manipulating their stock. Okay, so I don't know how much, you know, a lot of these companies, what do you want them to be paid on? They should be paid on performance, don't you think? I mean, yes, it can't pass Congress, but it's so asinine. You know, when we get into election season, both parties say stuff that they play to the base. All right. And it's just annoying to hear all the bullshit coming out of both sides. All right. When they know damn well that it's a bunch of, they're just wasting people's time. Okay. So what is they wasting time today? This nonsense about stock buybacks. I mean, I want my CEOs compensated on stock performance. No, they should be rewarded when the stock gets smashed. I mean, give me a break. Okay. All right. So that's that. We have a lot of the 13Fs were filed yesterday, for all the money managers who manage over $100 million. So the big stuff, what did we see? Buffett did an about face in Taiwan Semi. He sold 86% of his holdings. Stock's getting killed. And at this point, guys, he's probably out of it. So let me tell you just the way it works, real simple. Okay. At the end of the quarter, okay, they take a picture of their holdings. If you have $100 million, if you have $100 million in assets, you have to tell people what your positions were when you took that snapshot. You have to tell people 45 days after the quarter ends, okay? Now, the next time you have to report, of course, is the following quarter. But in the meantime, let's use Buffett as an example. Let's use, for argument's sake, that he had over a 5% position in Taiwan Semi, and now he doesn't have a 5% position any longer. He doesn't have to tell you anything about Taiwan Semi until the next time he files a 13F. So this was based on December 30th, right? Or 31st, I should say. Between December 31st and today, he could have sold his other 14%, that he had, okay? The remaining position in Taiwan Semi, and he probably did, okay? But he doesn't have to tell us because A, he doesn't have a 5% position any longer. And once you go below 5%, you don't have to talk any longer. And you don't have to file a 13F for another 45 days. Following these guys on 13Fs, unless it's a very sticky fund, like there's a million of them that keep positions for years, is a waste of time because they're flipping and flopping all day long and you're just spinning your wheels trying to figure out what they're doing. Just use the tape, use technicals, and I could, you can see accumulation. Okay, so you don't have to, follow these guys like, they can take you to the promised land. So anyway, Buffett cut BK, U.S. Bancorp, he almost is out of that. He's 60% in BK, 90% in U.S. Bancorp, Taiwan Semi, 86%, Chevron and ATVI, he trimmed. All right, and he added to existing positions for the most part, a little Apple, a little this, a little that. Okay, so that was what he did. And he added LPX, that's up this morning on his stuff, all right? Goldman Sachs is getting out of the direct to consumer credit cards, so they're slowly getting rid of all this banking business that they had waded into under the last two CEOs and going back to their knitting, all right? So this is gonna cost them a couple of bucks, et cetera, and that's the deal with Goldman. All right, Blankfein was the other CEO. Chipotle is spinning off this thing called Farmesa Fresh Eatery. It sounds just like Sweet Green. If you guys have eaten at that place, it sounds the same. It's probably a positive for these guys. Very smart, good management, et cetera, But I read what it, and I looked at the pictures. It just looks exactly like Sweet Green. It just looks like a copy. Mortgage demand dropped, interest rates were up. They went from 6.18 to 6.39% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. That's up from what, like 1% a year and a half ago. So you can tell that's going to have an effect on home sales, right? Michael Burry did a bunch of stuff. You can't follow this guy either. He bought like 8 names and he sold the ones that he had just bought, GEO and QRTEA. Half a GEO, and I think he sold all of the QRTEA. He bought a bunch of stuff. Like I said, don't follow these guys. You're just wasting your time. All right. Tesla. So he acquiesced to the president's, demand, which was if you don't share these charging stations, we're not going to give you the tax benefits that other EV companies are afforded. So of course he's going to do it. He had no choice. All right, so that's good for the EV industry for sure. Ford is having problems with that F-150. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't care, but they're having problems with the battery, and that the whole car is based on the battery. Ford has been a perennial disappointment, and I just think it continues to disappoint. Let's see what else we have. I was looking at that inflation report that came out yesterday. I thought, I looked at line item, and it was pretty interesting. Like foods were up a lot, eggs 70%, butter 32%. Utility costs were up 26%. Okay, airfare 25%, rent 8.6%, restaurants 8.2%. What was down? Computers, used cars, appliances, TVs. Okay, so all the stuff that you really need, they all went up. All right, so inflation was very apparent. Hopefully it'll calm down. I think it will, but that's why the Fed is so emphatic about keeping rates up and raising them if they have to. Okay, Japan, I told you. Brookfield Asset Management, you're going to see some of this going on. They defaulted on 2 LA office towers. Okay, people not going to work as much. People, companies want to take less space, and this is the result. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. Okay, retail sales came in 3%, which was, what were they expecting? 0.8, I think, something like that. Retail sales core 2.3 versus 0.8, and Empire Manufacturing, they were looking for -18, it was -5.8. So retail sales were pretty decent, better than expectations. Okay, let's move on. Numbers, what do we have? These are the companies that came in pretty decently. ADI, Analog Devices, and they announced a buyback. BIIB, Trip, Airbnb was terrific. The Trade Desk was good. Para was good. Is that still up? Yep. And Buffett added to Para, FYI. Now, Buffett, you could follow a little more than most people because he tends to keep positions a long time. The Taiwan Semi, I think, is kind of sort of an aberration. Generac was good. OSUR, NU, Adapt, HLF was good. CRK, Donut, Roblox, and Upstart, all pretty decent. Okay. EBS is selling a division. It's up on that. LPX, I told you, was Buffett. Para is Buffett also. And Expedia and BKNG are up in sympathy with Airbnb. On the downside, not a lot. POWW, GoDaddy, LTHM, BCS, which is Barclays Mist. They had a $1.7 billion trading error that cost them dearly, and that stock is down a bunch. CRDO absolutely whiffed like nobody's business. Okay, the stock, their biggest customer, who is, I believe it's Microsoft, cut buying a lot. So did Amazon, and the stock is getting pounded. I think CRDO, yeah, pounded, down almost in half. KHC was a little soft, but now it's up, so I guess not. Maybe that's going well. Devon had some situation that's causing its stock to go down 5. It was a special situation that caused an earnings miss. So maybe it's not repeatable. What they say was this deal? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever it was. Anyway, it's down to $5. And Sabre was lousy. Take-Two was doing, TTOO was doing an offering, and Taiwan Semi we discussed. As far as the current odds of an increase, 88% think 25 basis points on the next meeting, and 12% think 50. All right. Moving on to research, the CRDO, they're piling on that on the short side. I think Acme was bad. Is that crappy too? Acme. Yeah. Okay, that there was an upgrade in DKNG at Susquehanna. I thought that was decent. I thought the Taiwan Semi, about, we discussed. Coke, Morgan Stanley likes that. these guys just look at what the earnings are and they, you know, if they're good, they raise their target. If they're bad, they lower the target. Bunch of numbskulls, more or less. All right. Futures down a little bit, I would think, on exhaustion, number one, and strong consumer, meaning the Fed's probably going to be more hawkish. And we'll see how it goes. Okay. But volatility is the key. And I love down openings. So what happens? Spartan, it's all yours, my man.
All right, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? Just watching this UPST. I did throw some levels up there on the screen if you want to look at them. These are resistance points that I'm looking at: 1832, 1876, 1941 on that. Okay, let's take a look what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things. If you guys are new to chat, have already done so, make sure to take a look at the your email. There should be a email with the Discord link in it. Click on that. You come into chat. Looks something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you do come in, disclaimer section. Click on that. Give it a read. As well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, you got a link to the disclaimer right below this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand what risk reward is, guys, before you start trading, in my opinion. Why? Most important ratio in trading, because it's key to profitability. It's just mathematics. But take a look at it. You know, there's videos, profiles, everything that you need to understand it in this section. So go through it, spend the 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go through. Continue to scroll down. You have summary of how this chat works, breaks down all these channels work on the left-hand side. So you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. That's important to know to be looking. Continue to scroll down. You have the how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. You know, pretty breaks down what we're looking at. Options rules of IQ is money Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading for price contracts, et cetera, for the options ideas. SPX rules for the SPX ideas right below that. Any of the small account less 10K, breaking down if you do have a smaller account less 10K. Here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place that may help you manage your account, in our opinion. Lastly, how to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective, which can help you there as well. High conviction small account trades, post in the high conviction small account trade area when it does make sense. All right, let's take a look what we got going on today, guys. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can certainly just pause it and then you can read these pre-market breakdowns here, but you can see the charts are there and everything's there. All right, that's that. There's that. On the option side, here's your options table, everything on that as well. All righty, let's take a look at what we got going on pre-market, guys. I can see all the charts posted as well. So a couple things: Tesla, Airbnb, TTD, RBLX, FU2, and CRDO. So Tesla gapping up in continuation from last day's move. Airbnb gapping up on positive earnings and Q1 guidance being raised. TTD gapping up on earnings beat. RBLX gap EPS of negative, basically gapping up on earnings. Let's call it that. FU2 appointed FU2 subsidiary Mumu Sys as their EOS service provider, as well as they had some regulation change in China, which got a nice little push on that. CRDO, Corretto tech shares fall 48% as its largest customer gets demand or cuts demand forecast. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys, going to be that Tesla, going to be that Airbnb. Tesla, guys, 214.28 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, which is the range break on the daily. Level breaks 223.04, 229.06, unable to hold 208.26, 21.97 downside, leaning bullish. You're looking for a continuation push to the upside today on Tesla if you can break and hold above that pivot. Airbnb pivot to the upside today, going to be that 129.65 level, in my opinion. Level holds 133.26, 135.38 are the next two resistance levels I have on the daily. Unable to hold 127.59, 125.83, leaning bullish neutral there, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. That is Tesla, that is Airbnb. Let's take a look at TTD and RBLX. TTD 57.57 pivot, level holds 58.72, 59.70, unable to hold 56.33 to 55.37 downside, leading bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today on this name. But I want to see a little pullback first and then a curl to the upside. RBLX pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, is going to be the 41.93 level holds 43.39 to 44.48, unable to hold 39.82 to 38.48 downside levels that I got on the daily. And leaning bullish neutral on RBLX as well, in my opinion. All right, let's take a look at FU2 and CRDO. FU2, guys, pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, is 51.38. Level holds 53.54, 55.39. Unable to hold 50.15, 47.87. Leaning bullish neutral on that name, in my opinion. CRDO pivot downside today, 10.64. Unable to hold 9.31 to the 8.50 level. Able to hold 11.84 to 12.94, the upside being bearish neutral on that CRDO. Let's take a look at the spine of the FANG, my friends. So market obviously got this little downtrend that's been intact on the flag. We've talked about that a few times, and you can see that little rejection that it had last day. So SPY, 411.13 pivot to the downside. I guess let's call it upside today. This level is reclaimed, and that's obviously my opinion. This level is reclaimed, room higher into the 415.98 resistance breaks. We see the 419. 13,000. Pivot unable to hold. Room lower into the 407.65 support breaks. We see the 405.33 tested. I'm leaning bullish if that pivot point can hold, in my opinion, guys. So if we can reclaim that pivot, I think we can get a nice little push back to the upside there. We'll see what happens in regards to the open, but that's what I'm looking at. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the thing here, guys. Apple pivot to the upside today is going to be the 153.28. If it's able to be reclaimed, we get room towards 155, unable to hold 151.05, 149.74 downside, leaning bullish control only if pivot can be reclaimed on that name as well. Let's take a look at the next two. Oops, that's what I wanted to do. Let's see. All right, Amazon pivot to the upside today, guys, is going to be the 101.17. Level holds 104.21, 108.49, unable to hold 97.03, 94.14 downside, leaning bullish control on that, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Hit that pivot point and stay intact as well. Netflix, guys, pivot to the upside today is going to be the 357.67 level holds, 365.82, 369.41, unable to hold 351.85 to 347 downside, leaning bullish. Leaning bullish control on that if the pivot point's able to hold, in my opinion, as well. Meta pivot downside today, in my opinion, is going to be 181.55, unable to hold. 175.47, 171.44, able to hold 186.27, leaning bearish control, looking for a pull to the downside if that pivot point is unable to hold, sorry. And then last but not least, guys, Google pivot upside today, 93.68 level holds 95.27, 96.63, unable to hold 91.73 downside, leaning bearish control if that pivot point is unable to hold as well. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. Not the SPY and the FANG, the VIX, Qs, and IWM. Last but not least, baby. 1929 pivot to the downside today, unable to hold 1862, 1812, able to hold 2019, using the VIX for direction on the market, not leaning any particular direction, in my opinion. QQQ 307.28 pivot levels able to be reclaimed towards 312.09, unable to hold 303.96, 298.61 on the downside, in my opinion. Any bullish control there. And last but not least, SPX. Pivot to the upside today on this name, in my opinion, guys. 41.38 level holds 41.63, 41.97, unable to hold 40.99, 40.64 downside, meaning bullish control there as well. Good for a hold and pivot, push higher. And that's it. That's the SPY. It's a FANG. Those are the individual names we're looking at, guys. We're going to go ahead and close down that YouTube stream. If you guys are interested in coming to pop into chat with us, you can certainly do so. Go to SpartanTrading.com. You can sign up there.